year or two ago. So it's kind of crazy. But I grew up in that environment of like, eat. Not only is food love, but you have to eat your food because we don't have a lot of it. You know what I mean?
Right. So you kind of grew up overweight. Did you do any sports, any exercise?
Yeah, I did. So I played 1 year of JV football. I loved football. I was a defensive lineman. I remember I wanted to be a linebacker, but I wasn't fast enough. So I played defensive lineman. And, after that, I just, I grew up in a family where we didn't have a lot of money and I wanted to have my car. I wanted to drive to school. And so I ended up wanting to get a job because it was basically, hey, if you want to have your own car, you want to drive to school, you got to go and get a car and you got to pay for it yourself. So I dropped out of sports and decided to work. Little did I know that I was going to be working for the rest of my life. But I made that mistake early on and just have been working ever since. But I did play. I did like sports. I did play sports. I played with my friends. We grew up in a kind of an apartment building where a bunch of us grew up around the same age, and we would all play baseball outside. We play football outside, whatever the season was, even hockey sometimes. We would play any sport that was going on, and but football was definitely the most popular. And so I was active. For me, it wasn't the lack of activity. For me, it was the nutrition. It was the overabundance of food and eating. That's what the issue was for me growing up as a kid.
So would you say you had strength, but you just weren't lean?
Yeah, I mean, I even took. It's funny you mentioned strength. I even took a personal, or not a personal, a weightlifting class in high school. I remember I think it was a sophomore or a freshman. I took a weightlifting class, and that's the first time that I learned how to bench press and how to do a squat and things like that. So I had the strength and the fitness foundation, but at home I would just eat, 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 eat. It was a lot of processed food. It was get home from school, have a snack, chicken nuggets from the freezer, right? Pop them in the microwave. Then it was do your homework. Then it was have maybe another snack, or maybe for dinner. For dinner, it was typically, Cuban food, rice, beans, steak, things like that. But I would eat a lot of it, a lot of quantity. So big, big quantities.
So you would consider this you kind of have a food addiction growing up, or it was just because you didn't really have a lot of that's how you learned it. It's just you need to finish your plate because you don't know if exactly how much you're gonna get next time.
Well, I needed to finish my plate. And the other thing I think that I noticed now, looking back on that time, is I was eating anything that wasn't dinner, because dinner wasn't food that was processed, but anything that wasn't dinner was ultra processed food. And so I didn't realize this at the time, but when I was eating those frozen chicken nuggets, I was eating processed food that was just going to make me hungrier and hungrier. They've done studies to show that people who eat ultra processed foods, on average, they will eat around 500 extra calories every single day. Think about how that adds up after a week, after a month, after a year. And so you can think about, how I started to just gain weight because I was just never full. I always wanted to eat more. I would eat potato chips, I would eat french fries, I would eat chicken nuggets, whatever ultra processed food I would eat, it just didn't satisfy me, you know?
So how would you say you got over your food addiction?
Education, man, teaching myself. Yeah. I had to, I realized that if I was going to get anything under control, I had to first put myself in a position of feeling empowered and feeling like I had somewhat control over the situation. And so whenever I face whenever I'm in that position in life, really, even with starting a business or with starting anything, with my fitness business, for example, if I don't know something and I feel overwhelmed, it's probably because I don't have the information that I need. And so that lack of information makes us feel out of control, and that gives us that overwhelm, that fear. So I knew that I needed to overcome that by educating myself. I was always fascinated with science. Luckily, I really enjoyed science. When I went to college, I got a degree in chemistry with a concentration in biochemistry. I wanted to understand why the food that we ate nourished us, why the drugs that we took made us feel better. That was really fascinating to me. And so through that whole process of being in college, I learned kind of the nutritional science, and I started to apply that more to myself. Um, and I took a semester off of college right when I had first started. I took a semester off, and I really, really dug deep and said, "This is it. I'm gonna." Remember, I went to a park on March 1st of 2002. I went to a park nearby my house, and I looked down and I couldn't see my toes. I like my belly was so big that I couldn't see my stomach is all I could see. And I said, all right, this is the first day, and every day tomorrow it's going to be better, and then the next day it's going to be a little better. And I knew from the beginning that it's not gonna like I'm not gonna see the result in a week. I'm not gonna see the result in a month. I had a lot of weight to lose. I was 297, I think, at my heaviest weight. So I knew that it was going to be a while, but I also knew that if I did the right things every day, that I'd be closer every day. And so that was the kind of thing that I told myself. I said, if I can get a little closer every day, then in a month, in 6 months, in whatever time, it'll be a lot.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you like my content, feel free to hit that subscribe button.